Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. So quite a while ago I made a video on junk item collections. However, I was more going over where people were trading these items and kind of the purpose behind it. Well, today I want to have a look at the largest item collections that I could find. Now keep a few things in mind. I only picked collections that had photo evidence to begin with. A lot of people are collecting items, especially in the RuneScape forums. However, there are no images there for the most part, so I couldn't really verify if that was correct or not. So with these items, I want to calculate the amount of hours it would have taken under efficient scenarios to buy those on one account. I know a lot of people will use multiple accounts to buy these items, but just to compare them, I want to find the amount of efficient buying hours. So to do this, I'm going to be using the buying limits because that is for the most part the largest restriction that most of these item collectors face. And occasionally, assuming it's a slower item, I might have a look at the buying and selling velocities just to see generally how long it would have taken them to buy it. So if you have any other collections that you want to submit, maybe for a follow-up video, or you found someone else with a larger collection than these, definitely leave a comment down below. I'm always keen to see what stupid items people collect. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoy and let's get started. First up here is a guy called Shush Don't Talk. Now I was looking at a Reddit thread for Snowball Collections. This is kind of a hip thing to do right now. All the kids are doing it. All you do is collect snowballs. So there was a Reddit post about this guy who'd collected about 50k snowballs. Everyone's like, yeah, good job. And then someone in the comment section one-upped him and posted a picture with him holding 200k snowballs. And then this beast comes in and posts a picture with him with 863,000 snowballs. Snowballs are collected during the Christmas events. With the last event, you could collect around 1 snowball every second. I think it's around 3 snowballs every 3 seconds is what was said. So to collect 863,000 snowballs, it was around 240 to 250 hours of efficient snowball collecting. While some of these other collections have way more hours put into them, they're all passive because they're just buying on the Grand Exchange. This one is kind of active because you cannot buy them. They're untradeable, so you have to collect them yourself. So that's why I put this on the list. Good job, man. That's an insane collection. Coming up next here is a collection by a guy named Octopus. Now this one doesn't initially seem that impressive, but there's a few things I want to mention about this. First up here, this picture was from before the Grand Exchange was released. And secondly here, because you couldn't actually buy them on the Grand Exchange, you were really pretty much obtaining them from other players. Now the only way to get a strange fruit is from a drop from Chaos Elemental, which granted is possible, and also from random events. So at the time, this was actually a pretty rare collection just for having 3,066 strange fruits. While you only get 1 from the random event, you get 10 from the Chaos Elemental. However, it does seem to be an uncommon drop on the wiki. So that being said, it's still probably not the rarest collection, but I like it anyway. It's pretty unique, and especially for back then, pretty interesting to see. Next up here, we have a item collection by a guy named Vampire Coffee. He has 30 million vials. Now that's a pretty big vial collection. I understand vials do trade pretty frequently, and the buying limit is 13,000 on empty vials. So to successfully buy 30 million vials, it would take you around 2,308 times the buying limit, which is around 9,231 efficient buying hours. That is assuming that you literally buy 13,000 vials every 4 hours, which would be reasonably possible, but even considering that, that is a lot of vials. Assuming he buys 13,000 vials every 4 hours, that's around 384 days or just over a year of buying vials. Again, probably use multiple accounts, but we're going to be looking at this in a one-dimensional view here just to make it easier to compare. So that's still a pretty impressive collection. Next up here, we have a collection by Comrade Polar Bear, and he has 7,157,000 cabbages. Cabbages have a buying limit of 6,000, which is around 1,192 efficient buying limits, or around 4,771 efficient buying hours, which is around 198 days. Now this is a little optimistic because cabbages don't actually trade as frequently as that on the Grand Exchange, and getting 7 million cabbages is such a feat. Generally, the more expensive an item is as well, it makes it for a more impressive collection. A lot of these collections involve buying items that are 1 GP or 2 GP. Cabbages are currently sitting at 26 GP each, which makes for a pretty insane collection. Next up here is probably the most impressive collection I've ever seen. Now there are so many impressive item stacks here, but let's start off with the most impressive by far, and this is a Reddit user by the name of Bodies. In this picture, Bodies has 11 million leather chaps, which is an astounding 88,000 efficient buying limits. That is absolutely crazy because the buying limit on the leather chap is only 125. That is 352,000 efficient buying hours, or around 14,666 days, which equates to 40.2 years of buying these leather chaps. I think this is by far the most impressive collection I have ever seen. Now, clearly, he did this on multiple accounts and bought them from other players because leather chaps are a pretty common collection to go for. However, that being said, that does not take away from how absolutely impressive it is to have a green cash stack of leather chaps. And it does not even stop there. He has a bunch of other impressive collections which could really each individually make this list, but I'm gonna keep them all together. Some other notable ones are the 1.16 mil leather cows, which again have a buying limit of 125, which is still around 37,000 efficient buying hours, which is still way more than a lot of these other items. He also has 1.12 mil butterfly nets, which are pretty similar at 125 limit per hour. However, butterfly nets you could buy from a shop, but why would you ever want to do that? Another really impressive collection is the 4.14 mil leather gloves, which again, 125 buying limit, which is around 132,000 efficient buying hours, which has got to be in the 10 to 15 year range again. And another special mention is actually the 100k vodkas. If you remember when Fossil Island came up, vodkas went up by an order of magnitude at that point. They were worth like 100 times more than what they were normally worth. It's kind of interesting to see that this guy had a collection of 100,000 vodkas. Now, this was probably before the update, but I still think it's an interesting number. Honestly, any item on this list is pretty impressive. 10 million watermelons, 10 million filled plant pots, 11 million empty pot. All of this is extremely impressive. And it does not even end there. There's two other images to go along with this. Another interesting one is 35,000 Goblin armors. Well, it's not nearly as many buying limits, but I think it's interesting. 2,358 buying limits for that, because the buying limit on the Goblin male is only 15. So it's around 9,434 efficient buying hours. Not to mention his impressive seed collection as well, ranging from 1 million to 6 million seeds. While stuff like potato seeds and seeds in general are pretty easy to obtain, and they're a lot sold, the buying limit's actually very low. It's only 600 for that many potato seeds, which is still 11,441 buying limits, or 45,000 efficient buying hours. So just keeping that in mind, you can see how insane this guy's collection is. So much time put into this, and I don't know if this guy will ever be beat. Next up, we have a user by the name of The Real MYT. He has 3,727k chaps. Now that is definitely nothing to scoff at, although the other guy did have like 3 times more almost. Again, 585k coifs, pretty impressive. Another thing worth highlighting here is the stack of 10 million Terramin tar and Marintil tar. It's around 1,428 buying limits, or 5,714 efficient buying hours each. But considering Terramin tar is at 1 GP each, it can be very difficult to buy full buying limit every 4 hours, so I doubt that was the case. So once you get into the territory of these type of items, it becomes kind of difficult. To begin with here, it is a members item, so you can't even do something similar to my like 100 account flipping farm and just have a ton of accounts buying these items, because you cannot sustain the membership on it, or you shouldn't at least. So at that point, you can only really buy these either from other players or just through a couple accounts that you have running. And because this item is contested by a lot of other people, because people actually use Terramin tar and it's only 1 GP, so it's going to come through very slowly, it makes the collection more impressive. It's kind of hard to compare all these factors because there's a lot behind it and we don't really know exactly how many this guy is buying per hour on the Grand Exchange. However, we can say that it's a little bit more impressive than just the efficient buying hours would suggest. Alright, next up here we have a collection by a user named The Penetration Squad. Now this one is impressive for 2 reasons. For one, the buying limit on these items are extremely low. He has a collection of Mithril items T and G. So the buying limit on these are only 8. And on top of that, they're kind of expensive for a collection. I think in the comment sections he said it was worth like 300 to 400 mil, because he has 8,163 Mithril plate skirts G, 8,886 Mithril full helms T, 9,697 Mithril plate legs T, and it just kind of goes on. He has so much of those items. For each one of these item collections, it's around 4,400 buying limits. However, that's a bit optimistic considering how many of these trade per day. However, assuming that you actually got 8 every 4 hours, that'd be around 4,400 efficient buying hours, or 183 days per item stack. And considering how expensive this item is, it's actually quite an investment, which makes this item collection very impressive. And the last step here, we have Critical's Monkey Nut Collection. Just a few days ago, he released a video titled I Beat RuneScape, and we can see here he has over 1.2 million monkey nuts. In his price check, the current value is 352 GP each, or 426 mil in total. However, looking at the current price of monkey nuts, they're at 500 GP each, which is increasing the value of this collection tremendously. Now, would you ever sell that off? Probably not, but it is still an absolutely insane collection. Good job, man. Alright guys, that is pretty much it. I know there are probably other collections out there, so if you know of any insane collections, leave a comment down below, or if you have a personal collection, leave an image or something. I want to know what other collections there are out there. My personal collection is blue feathers. I have around 2.2 million of them or something like that. Really not impressive compared to these, but I'm trying. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave the video a like, and I will see you next time.